Hey, what's going on? My name is Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting connections. On this episode, I'd like to explore an idea of having a performance review for your friends, for your close friends. I think that you will benefit so much by having these kinds of conversations, intentional conversations, but I also think that it might be scary and it might hurt your relationship if you're not ready for it. With that said, let's explore the idea of having a yearly performance view with your friends. Are you ready? Let's go. I came across this idea because of something that I saw on TikTok. And on the TikTok video, it was one where you read the Reddit posts. Reddit posts are read by a bot. And the bot had read somebody's story. And their story said that they had worked in a corporate office and they were getting a yearly performance review. And because they got that yearly performance review, they made intentional changes so that they can get a raise next year so they can be more successful. And meanwhile, their relationship with their partner was suffering. They weren't putting the love and care and attention into the partnership. So that's a romantic partnership. So I think it was a husband or something. So she thought, well, I'm putting all this energy and effort into this job and trying to make sure I do things right because I have this review coming up. I have these specific questions or performance that I need to do, and it's written out for me and it's discussed with me. What if I take this concept and I apply it to my relationship, my romantic relationship, and see what happens? And so I was like, oh, what if I took this and applied this to my close relationships, or we applied this to our close relationships? Because she had said that over the course of years, it transformed their relationship into something that was really honest, really beautiful, really trusting and truthful. I think that there's something to this because while we tend to prioritize romantic relationships in our lives, I believe that these non-romantic platonic relationships are just way more important. And if you can develop that kind of intimacy with your close friend, with your best friend forever, with a good connection, then you'll be set. You'll be set. Finding a romantic partner wouldn't be a problem if that was something that you wanted to do, because you always have somebody who's there supporting you, is going to tell you the truth, is going to help you through hard times. So that's why I think prioritizing romantic relationships is not more important than the platonic relationships. The platonic relationships come first. So with that said, I like to build the intimacy into those platonic relationships as well. And this would be a fantastic way to do it. I think it'd be a fantastic way to do it. Having a yearly performance review. Now, I can see how there's so many benefits to it. Like I said, I can see that, having a structured time to talk about those awkward things. You just can't sweep them under the rug. The year's coming where you have to look under the rug and see what's there and be intentional about cleaning it out. Be thoughtful about what it is that's happening in your friendship and your relationship that you want to change, or that you dislike, or that you do like and you want to talk to your friend about it. You want to tell them how much you appreciate them for it. Because we don't set aside time on a regular basis to do this. We may not set aside that kind of time. And so it just gets swept under the rug. Time passes. The next thing you know, it's 5 years and you're still holding a grudge about something you've never talked about before. And it's affecting your relationship. It's falling apart. You no longer want to be open and honest with your friend because you never cleared up that thing from 5 years ago. If you had this system implemented, then you would not let it get that far. It would get to that 1 year mark, and here it comes. It has to come out. And you start to create a culture of being honest and authentic with each other. And I'll bet you, once you start putting this kind of thing into practice, it's not something that you'll wait a year for either. You won't wait a year for it. You'll be more comfortable to talk about some of the things that bother you. But I do like the idea of the yearly thing because you really have to be intentional about it. You know it's coming up. It's marked on a calendar like it's a holiday. It would just be so much for your radical honesty. And I just think that it would create this wonderful outlet for your pent-up resentments. But, I can see it going sideways too. You might go to your friend and you might share with them something deep that was on your heart, that was really painful, that you experienced at their hand, and they deny it all. They're like, no, it's your fault. You did it, blah, blah, blah. If you didn't act this way, then I wouldn't have done that. And there's no space. There's no space. You can see it. I can see it going sideways. If neither of you or one of you don't have the emotional maturity, the emotional intelligence, the empathy, the emotional regulation, the patience to hear someone else's point of view, it's over. You won't even get that. You won't even be able to finish the session because they don't even have space to hear what you have to say. And likewise for you, can you hear those hard things? Can you hear the actions that you have done that have impacted your friend in a way that they don't desire and they wish for you to change? Are you willing to see where they are and to talk about what can be done, what kind of compromise can happen? And then you create a plan to go forward with it. See, that sounds so structured, right? And we're like, friends should just be friends. Friends should just whatever. Friends will just like each other and we just groove and we just vibe together. I can see it going sideways. Because of those things. We want to fight the structure that is. But if you're hurting, you're hurt. And your friend who is supposed to be close to you, I believe wholeheartedly that they should be able to appreciate what you share with them. Not just accept, but appreciate it. Be like, yeah, I'm so grateful that you brought this to me and to my attention. Because as I've said many times on this podcast before, is that if you have been impacted by your friend in a way that hurts you, and it's a way that they don't desire, they're not trying to hurt you, you bring that to their attention, they're going to be like, oh, let me see what I can do to fix that, because I'm not out here trying to hurt my friend. But that kind of conversation can only happen when you and they have the patience, have the empathy, have the words to create space for each other. Only happen. So I can see how this could go sideways. But it's going to give you important information about your friend regardless. If it goes sideways, you're going to have to know, I think it's going to reveal something to you that, oh, your friend might be the one who can support you in the way that you need to. And they may not have the capacity to be as close as you want them to. Or maybe you discover that too. You're like, I don't want to make these changes. I don't want to be that close to you. I want somebody who is going to just accept what I do for how I do it. And that's all going to be, I'm not changing that. I'm not doing anything else. And you may discover that you don't want to be as close to this person. It can go sideways because sometimes we just don't want to know. Honestly, if I'd be honest with you, sometimes we just don't want to know. I don't want to know that my friend doesn't care about me as deeply as I care about them. I want to keep on pretending. I want to keep on believing. I want to keep on thinking the best intentions of them. I don't want them to actually tell me. I feel better in this space. It feels safer to me. I get it. I get it. I get why you wouldn't want to do it, but there are so many benefits to knowing more about who the people are around you, who you want in your life, and being respectful and intentional about getting that for yourself. So if you're thinking about doing this yearly thing, I think that this will be dope. Maybe if you just do it for yourself and not share it with your friend as a start, because you're not sure about starting the conversation. Like, how do you start? Like, hey friend, I think we should have a yearly review session together. Ha ha ha. What do you think? You don't want to do it? Oh, I was just kidding. Because you don't want to put yourself in a vulnerable position. But there are these 6 questions that came from the TikTok that I modified that will help you really start this. So if you just want to use it for yourself and just think about, do every review for yourself, like not sit down and talk to the other person about the review, but just kind of do your own assessment of a person every year. And I think someone I saw this on a different spot, but someone recommended to do this every year for their birthday. They do it every year for their birthday. They look at people who reach out to them for their birthday, and they do an evaluation. Specifically, they look at Facebook evaluation, and see who wishes them a happy birthday on their Facebook. And they're like, do I know this person? Have I talked to them throughout the year? And such and such. But what we're going to do is a little different. That's just if you were just looking for a time to do this evaluation, if you want to do it once a year. But here's the 6 questions, and 3 of them are self-reflective questions. These are reflections for you to think about yourself and how you show up. The first one is, what have been my contributions to the friendship in the past year? The second one, what is something that I bring to the friendship that doesn't help the friendship? The third, what is one thing I can work on to be better at in the next year that will strengthen my friendship? So I think these are really great questions to start. Self-reflective questions about who you are and how you show up in your friendship. Now, here are some other questions to ask of your friend, or looking at your friend, thinking about your friend. These outward-looking questions. There's 3 questions, 3 outward-looking questions. The first one is, what have been my friend's contribution to the friendship in the past year? What is something that my friend brings to our friendship that doesn't help the friendship? And the third one, what is one thing that I want my friend to work on to be better at in the next year that will strengthen my friendship? I think these 6 questions is a really great place to start. Maybe you won't be able to find your friend to sit down and answer them together, because perhaps it'll be a little too difficult with emotional regulation, and it doesn't quite feel like a safe space to do so. You might be reacting to each other. So don't do that just yet. If you don't feel like that's a great time, don't do it just yet. Take these reflective questions and outward-looking questions. Take all 6 of these questions and answer them for yourself. Just pick one person and see what you can come up with, and then do an evaluation. What would you like to change and what would you not like to change? And make the changes accordingly. I'll be right back with the answer Reddit question. Are you tired of being around people who just don't get you? Have you been putting yourself out there but not able to find anybody that matches your vibe? You're not alone. Making friends, especially as an adult, is hard. My name's Coach Lee. I'm a social connections coach, and I want to help you find your tribe. I have a 3-step coaching program for groups and individuals that's designed to help you get to the right place, to meet the right people, to have the right kind of conversations that leave you feeling fulfilled, appreciated, and understood. After going through the Find Your Tribe coaching program, you'll discover who it is that you really want to be connected to, how to find those people, and what you need to talk about so that your relationship moves from an acquaintanceship to a close friendship. And with this program, you won't be on this journey alone. You'll have access to a private community in which there are others who are just as intentional about making the kind of connections you are. You'll also have access to live events like weekly Q&As, speed friending, and much more. You'll be able to practice your skills in a safe environment and feel confident to connect authentically when you get out into the real world. If you're ready to get started on making meaningful connections and lasting relationships, then apply to the coaching program by using the link in the show notes. All right, now it's time for the Reddit friendship advice question. If you have a friendship advice question that you think I should answer, tag me in it on Reddit. My handle is Brilliant and Resilient. That's Brilliant, the letter N, Resilient. Feel stuck in a codependent friendship. My friend and I have known each other for 5 years. We met in rehab, so it's safe to say things were going really rough for both of us at the time. And it'd also be a safe assessment to say we're pretty trauma bonded from the get. Since then, we have had a lot of shit happen in our lives, ups and downs, in which we are both there for each other. We've shown up for health scares and emotional challenges as best we can, given that we don't live in the same state anymore. So, my concern is, outside of the obvious fact that our friendship was founded on unhealthy boundaries and such, I feel like we've started growing in different directions. Lately, I've been doing more introspection and trying to really move on from the past, growing from my mental health and addictions and so on. And while my friend also still seems to be growing, it's in a different direction. And they're still heavily focused on making plans for unaliving themselves or indirect harm because they, quote, just don't care. It seriously hurts to hear them say some of the things they say because I do care. Even though I know how bad it hurts and apathetic I was when I was in that place, it's all to say that I basically dread talking to them now because it leaves me feeling drained, and the conversation is so often them saying everything that's going wrong or me trying to lift them up. Also, earlier on in the friendship, I'd relapsed pretty hard and they were doing well in their recovery. At that time, they'd said there was nothing I could do to get rid of them, which now I really feel guilty for how I'm feeling about it. Like, I'm not stepping up the same way that they did. Plus, I'm scared because I've said on more than one occasion that they'd be nothing without me, or they wouldn't know what to do if I wasn't in their life. So I worry they'll just take a friend breakup as the, quote, last straw, especially since they've had a lot of challenges happening right now, and they might just unalive themselves. I've even had nightmares about getting that dreaded call that they've unalived themselves. I care deeply about them and always will, and I want to be able to have both move on in the next stage of our lives. So in summary, how do I cope with guilt and anxiety around a friend's unstable mental health leading up to breakup in a codependent friendship? Wow. This is hard. This is heavy. I don't know why I picked this. I don't know why I did this to myself. Actually, I mean, there's a lot of emotional things in here, a lot of emotional maturity showing, I think, from the person who wrote this. And we all got our struggles and our challenges to face, and they're looking at theirs and they're really sorting it out. They're really figuring out, like they said, they're on a journey to be more introspective. And they're looking at the things that cause them to perhaps relapse and perhaps feel the way they do. And I think that they perhaps have identified their friendship as one of those things, but not sure, not curious, just can't like throw it away. Like, I'm going to stop and quit this friendship because it means so much. There's emotional attachment and things there. But I did want to thank the Redditor for being so brave. You know what? I'm going to take that back. Brave. I don't like when people tell me, you're so brave for being trans and being out about it. Uh, just because, I kind of feel like there's a lot of space created for me to be able to talk about this stuff. And I don't feel so brave. I just feel like, well, it's necessary for me to speak my truth. I just need to get it out there. I just need to say words and get it out. And this person who feels stuck in a codependent friendship is also experiencing that same thing. They're like, yeah, I just need to get it out. I just need to talk about what hurts. I just need to talk about what hurts. I don't care. I just need to talk about what hurts because it feels good to me. So I'm going to say congratulations to you rather than you're so brave. But congratulations to you for expressing yourself fully and honestly. But with that said, I think that this matches up with the theme of the episode today about reevaluating your friendship, evaluating it, because this is important and special to you. Like, you trauma bonded, of course, but you kept each other together and you talked to each other throughout your experience. You've been there for one another, this and that. You know what it feels like to be in those spaces, and you just don't want to leave somebody there, but you want to also grow. You want to see the future of your friendship be something else. And it's worth having a conversation about that. It's worth having a structured conversation about it, not just going on with it and putting up with things and not being able to identify what specific actions and behaviors that are happening that you don't necessarily like. You just don't want to talk about. You just don't know how to have that conversation. But I think that the structured yearly interaction would be helpful. So just imagine these questions that I asked earlier, these self-reflective questions. So what have been my contributions to the friendship in the past year? And you've answered some of those questions, Redditor. You've answered how you've been there for her and how you've talked to them when they had hard things happening. You allowed them to essentially dump on you and talk about all the hard things that are happening. You created that space for them and you supported them like that. So that's been a contribution. What's something that I bring to my friendship that doesn't help the friendship? I would say, and this is just me outside looking in, so, this is about you and your own evaluation, but you allowed me to look at your experience. And I would say the fact that you say, they'd be nothing without me. That, I don't think that would be helpful to the relationship to be like that. I don't know if you say it to them, but it says that you say it. And so there's a belief about it floating somewhere. They'd be nothing without me, or they wouldn't know what to do if I wasn't in their life. I think a healthier friendship would be that they would be everything without you, because they are, and you would know that too. And just like you're everything without them. And they would know exactly what to do about things in their life, but they would come to you for support and advice. They would come to you for new ideas, and they would come to you for, maybe they wouldn't know exactly what it is that they needed to do, but they wouldn't look at you as if you have all the answers. You'd be a piece of the puzzle that you talk to them and you share with them and help them understand more about themselves. And so that would be the second one to answer. And then, what is one thing I can do to work to be better at in the next year that will strengthen my friendship? This is one that I don't have the answer for, but it's certainly one for you to exploring, to go in deep dive and figure out. Like, what is one thing that you can do that is going to help your friendship, help strengthen your friendship? And I think that a conversation with them is why it's so powerful to have a conversation with the other person too while you're doing this, is that you can understand what their needs are. You can understand what their needs are. But as I said that, I'm like, well, one thing that you would be able to do is to set better boundaries. But what does that look like? Your friend might be able to help you figure that out, or someone outside of your friendship might be able to help you figure out what it looks like to have better boundaries with your friend. But those three questions: what have my contributions been to the friendship in the past year? What is something I bring to my friendship that doesn't help the friendship? And what is one thing I could work on to be better at in the next year that will strengthen my friendship? That's going to help you get closer to figuring out those pieces of the friendship that you don't like. And then these outward looking questions, these are 3 that you think about for your friend. What have my friend's contributions been to the friendship in the past year? What is something my friend brings to our friendship that doesn't help the friendship? And what is one thing I want my friend to work on to be better at in next year that will strengthen my friendship? And I've just skipped to the last one. What is one thing that you want your friend to work on? It's to probably have a more positive, upbeat attitude or a positive outlook. Just like they don't have to be cheery and hide their stuff, but honestly, they could come to you with something good that's happening, something that's joyful that they're doing, so that you don't feel like you constantly have to dig them up or dig them out of the hole or hold so much of their sorrows. So I think this question set would be very powerful in restoring your friendship, at least figuring out how you want to interact with each other. Because of course, you want to be close to them. You've had so many experiences and you can see yourself in them, but you also want to make sure that you're not being hurt by this. You're not being, your energy is not being used in a way that doesn't benefit you. Your relationship with your friend should be one where you choose each other intentionally and not just are beholden to them because they did something for you in the past. You constantly work together to build your friendship, to build your future together, because you change every single day. Talk about it with each other. Redditor, thank you so much for asking your question. I know that you didn't ask me to answer it, but I did, and I hope that it helps. Best of luck to you. Take care. My name is Coach Lee Hopkins, and you have been listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. You can find me at patternsofpossibility.com and on all social media at Patterns of Possibility. And as always, I want to encourage you to be yourself, live your truth, and there you'll make lasting friendships.